miles long. Every time Broadway crosses an avenue, a park or a square is formed. To our left, the intersection of Broadway and 8th Avenue is Columbus Circle. The intersection of Broadway and 7th Avenue to our right will be Times Square. The intersection of Broadway and 6th, Herald Square, and so forth. As you can see, New York City is a busy place. 8.3 million people reside in New York City, the 5 boroughs. Do we all know what the 5 boroughs in New York City are? Group effort time. I'm going to start us off. Right now, we are on the borough of Manhattan. What are the other 4 boroughs? Very popular place. On December 31st, beginning at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, up to 1 million people began gathering in and around 1 Times Square to usher in the first day, the first month of the year 2011. A little bit of traffic here in Times Square today. More than usual. To our right, Starbucks Coffee. You came all the way to New York City to see Starbucks. There are currently 292 Starbucks in New York City. They outnumber McDonald's. Does anybody know where they got the name Starbucks from? They originally wanted to call it Pequods. Pequod is the whaling vessel in the novel Moby Dick. Starbuck was the first officer on the Pequod. They went with Starbuck instead. I think they made the right call. Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick, was born, grew up, and died here. The Algonquin tribe and the Mannahatta tribe. The Mannahattas lent their name to the island of Manhattan. Manhattan in Algonquin means island of many hills. There's our green. We're going to make our way to 42nd Street, folks, and then over to 5th Avenue. In 1609, Henry Hudson sailed into New York Harbor on board his ship, the Half Moon. He was on a mission. He needed to discover a suitable shipping port for the Dutch so that they could continue their lucrative fur trading operation. Beaver fur was highly prized back in Europe. A beaver fur hat fetched a handsome price. The Dutch agreed with Henry Hudson's assessment, and in 1622 they settled Governor's Island, then known as Nut Island. They also settled the southern tip of Manhattan. TKTS booth to our right. You can get discount theater tickets to Broadway shows. You can get matinee tickets for the proceeding day, that is, sometimes up to 50% off the TKTS booth. George M. Cohen, that statue right there, famous Broadway producer, director, and songwriter. To our left is Little Brazil. And also the Actors Equity Building is to our left. That's where you go to audition to become a member of one of these prestigious Broadway shows. Break a leg, as they say. Broadway, a pedestrian mall. To our right, between 42nd and 47th Streets. We're actually crossing Broadway right now. That's now to our left. The Paramount Building, right over there. On the ground floor is a Hard Rock Cafe. That was the Paramount Theater back in the day. Frank Sinatra sang there with Tommy Dorsey and his orchestra back in 1940. MTV Studios is right there where the Teen Wolf sign is. And to our left is a Toys R Us. They purport to be the largest toy store in the world. Not large enough anyway to have their own Ferris wheel. We'll see that spinning in the lobby as we pass by. Hope you stay more comfortable. I'm not getting fresh. There's Broadway to our lower left. We're just waiting for our lights. There's the Hard Rock Cafe, the Paramount Theater. The Andrews Sisters also performed there, as well as Buddy Holly and his Crickets. The disc jockey Alan Freed worked there for a shorter amount of time. Mr. Freed is credited with coining the term rock and roll. Another Another Starbucks coffee to our left. Eugene O'Neill was born at that site back in 1888. Famous playwright Eugene O'Neill. The New York City 7th Avenue, folks. New York City is the only city in the United States with its own Fashion Walk of Fame. Beginning on the sidewalk down to our lower left, there are medallions embedded there, named after famous fashion designers. Marc Jacobs, Donna Karan, Ralph Lauren, among others, are commemorated on the Fashion Walk of Fame. The Parsons School for Design to our right. If you're interested in a fashion career, that might be a place to begin. Often featured in the television program Project Runway. I think they're starting a new season soon, aren't they? I just saw the billboards. July 29th, this time. Make it work. That's the slogan. Saw the posters. The Needle Threading the Bun statue right over there, and on the ground next to it is the immigrant worker sculpture, Judith Weller, 1984. That is a depiction of her grandfather, who was a garment worker here in the garment district of New York City. New York City, the undisputed garment capital of the world between 1890 and 1910. We joke about our clothes. They come from Taiwan, China, the Philippines. Well, back in the day, most likely you had a label on your clothing that said made in New York City. Crossing Broadway. Times Square to the left. Old news. 6th Avenue is now in front of us. 6th Avenue at one time was exclusively dedicated to the 6th Avenue L train. L for elevated. It was removed in the 1930s and put underground. Today, Catherine Street in the Lower East Side.
The 42nd Avenue.
Established back in 1826, just like the sign says. Coming up on our left, and another one of my favorite buildings, a beautiful Beaux-Arts structure on the corner of 37th Street and 5th Avenue, the former home of Tiffany Jewelers. Tiffany's was in this building between 1906 and 1939. This one right here. Gorgeous building. And off to our right, folks. I know we can't see up a whole lot here, but the Empire State Building. It'll be at 34th and 5th. The Empire State Building is currently the tallest building in New York City, 1,453 feet, 8 9/16 inches tall. That's all the way to the top of the antenna. 1,250 feet tall if you're not into antennas. Former Altman's department store to our left. Does anybody know the current tallest building in the world?
Burj Khalifa.
That's right, the Burj Khalifa, the Burj Dubai, or just the Burj. The Burj is 2,717 feet tall. That's almost twice the height of this building. Oh, you're from Dubai. Welcome. The Empire State Building was the tallest building in the world from 1931 to 1972. Built after 1 year and 45 days of construction at a cost of $41 million. That's $1931. It has 102 floors, 67 elevators. The Flatiron Building is considered by many as the world's first modern skyscraper. Daniel Burnham & Associates, 1902. Chicago Modern is the style. And that's Madison Square, folks. The intersection of Broadway and 6th Avenue, Madison Square. Baseball was invented here in 1842. The developers kicked the players out. They moved to Hoboken, New Jersey, wrote down the rules, and played the first modern game there in 1846. The first and the second Madison Square Gardens were one block to our left. It was named that because it's next to Madison Square. First one designed by Stanford White. He's the White of McKim, Mead & White, a famous architectural firm, turn of the last century. The tallest building in the world from 1909 to 1913, right there, the Metropolitan Life Tower. Tommy Hilfiger is in negotiations to purchase the Metropolitan Life Tower for $170 million. He recently sold his clothing line to Van Heusen, looking for something to do. He wants to convert to a hotel. John May Plenso's Echo statue to our left, that white human head. And the original Shake Shack is also Madison Square. I just went the other night. I had a delicious burger and a delicious shake. Flatiron building one more time. That's it right there, folks. Cool building. We are now in the Flatiron District of New York City. This part of Fifth Avenue is known as Ladies' Historic Mile. That's because back in the day, if you went shopping in New York City, you came here. Brandberger's was here, Bloomingdale's, Bergdorf Goodman, and Macy's. The original Macy's, that is. It was here. Almost all these buildings are historically preserved. That means if you're an owner of one of these buildings, you are responsible for the upkeep, in particular the facades. If it falls into disrepair, you must effect repairs using the original building schematics and the original materials whenever available at your own cost. That's what's happening right over there. Installing some netting and some scaffolding. They need to do some repairs. To our left is Union Square. The only public park that was originally made available on the 1811 Commissioner's Plan. That plan laid out the current grid that today is modern New York City. New York City didn't have all these square blocks until 1811. '14th Street coming up. 14th Street is the longest street in New York City, running east to west, 2.5 miles long. Coat storage, you turn it. It's all here, folks. Here in Soho. We're going to take a right here at 14th Street.
In a hurry to go nowhere. Exactly.
The traffic's not too bad. It's nice.
Just a few, and all of them. Safe.
Broad Street's now in front of us. Broad Street at one time was a canal that ran up to Exchange Place. Francis. We're going to take it right over here, folks. Or maybe on Maiden Lane. We are in the financial district of New York City, the Wall Street district. It's a little quiet. The bell rang at 4 o'clock. They'll be at it again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Maiden Lane, named after the Dutch maidens that came down to bleach their linens in a brook which ran from Fulton Street to the East River. The FDR is in front of us. That's an elevated highway that runs up the entire eastern shoreline. And I can see a tall ship in South Street Seaport. That is the Waiver Treats made out of iron. To our right, 180 Maiden Lane. That's what 1 million square feet looks like in a skyscraper. Across the water, the BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, and Brooklyn Heights. The first historically designated neighborhood in New York City. We're going to pull over up here, folks. This will be the water taxi portion of the tour. I will need to collect your water taxi tickets, so get your tickets ready. We're going to need to rip off that water taxi portion. I need to collect that. Keep the champagne ticket if you bought it. There'll be a champagne toast on that taxi. You give that ticket over and you get a free glass of champagne. You're going to take the water taxi for an hour. You're going to come back and then we're going to go eat. That'll be in Little Italy, Grotto Azzurra. I'll collect them when we get off. Actually, as we get off, I'll collect the tickets. If we could all just meet over there by that New York water taxi, that yellow building, and bring a